schoolyard. So bad I had to talk to her. Cruising with my wolves. Now we can't lose. I used to see you doing your thing, running through Sierra Hall, making nice. Can I brag about you? Can I write about you? Can I talk to you? All I need is you. All I need is you. All I need is you. All I need. All I need is you. All I know. All I need is you. All I need is you, girl. All I need is you, girl. No. You're the one I told. You're the one I can't deny. Put it out on you. Everything I do, girl. One thing's for sure, I need you now. Speaking the truth, that's all I wanna do, girl. No. Put it on me. I can do it for you, girl. Put it on me. All I need.
New conversation. Let's talk, think about it. Let's get it together. Together we can do it. Oh, out of the box. Think out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box. Think out of the box. Out of the box. Out of the box.
Welcome to Touch the World Radio Show. I'm your host, Jay Gatso. You are tuned in to episode 13 of the Out of the Box podcast edition, the anniversary episode. We recorded our first episode August 9th, 2020. I want to extend a special thank you to my mentor, Lady Eva J, for her guidance and direction in this journey. I look forward to continuing to grow and improve this show until it completes its mission for God's kingdom. So a special thank you to everyone that has been on this journey with me. I would not be here without you. So thank you all again. With that said, you guys know the routine. Before we get started, let us pray. Dear God, thank you for carrying me through this year of broadcasting. Thank you for placing people in my path that helps me grow. God, I trust that your hand is on this show and I am merely a vessel. God, we ask that you bless our show this evening. Allow us to touch the minds and hearts that we are intended to reach. As we get on with the show, we ask that you keep us covered in your protection. Amen. All right, you guys. So it's time for the Mind Your Future with the Past in Mind segment. I want to share a story with you guys that illustrates why I say Black Money Matters, act like it. So Thursday, I went to an Italian restaurant to grab something to eat before my hair appointment. I was wearing a I Am a New Black History Makers t-shirt. Shout out to Jasmine. So I ordered food and I was looking for something to drink in the fridge. There were 2 employees and apparently a regular customer in the store. They were white. They took a pause and they had a strange silence. So I was ready to check out and I noticed the cashier was still looking at my shirt as she was ringing me up. Moments later, I noticed that my tab went from $9 to $22. She gave me my receipt, and I noticed that she added a couple extra items on my receipt. So I asked her, why she charged me for those items, because I did not order them. She claimed that her elbow must have added the extra items, and she called the manager to give me my reimbursement. I shared this story with you guys to give you guys an idea of the anti-blackness that is going on in our nation today. I've been to the establishment before, and I've never experienced this experience, but just something as small as a t-shirt can cause an extreme reaction. So that's why I say Black Money Matters, act like it, because in this scenario, the next step is not to patronize an establishment again. We know that they are not interested in the growth of our community, so why would we continue to use our funds there? So let's be more aware of whom and where we spend our hard-earned dollars. All right, you guys. So let's get on with the topic. So tonight's topic is Queen Talk. Our guest this evening has been educating our community on holistic health for some time now. Mia is a self-love advocate. She is a force behind the Simply Wholesome brand, one of my favorite spots in LA, and the founder of Queen Talk LA. I've been implementing her holistic tips for years now, and I'm excited to have her in the studio with you guys to share her journey. So y'all, Touch the World family, help me welcome Mia to the studio this evening.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, getting off a little of the nerves. I told you I was going to be a little nervous. Now I'm talking, I'm a little nervous.
It's all good. We're going to get comfortable in a minute. But so the first question I want to ask you is, where are you from and where did you grow up?
Okay, so I'm born and raised in LA. I'm an LA native, and mostly, Leimert, Baldwin Hills area. I've moved around LA a lot, but I've always been on Slauson.
Got you.
So I like Sam Slauson girl.
Yeah. Overhill.
What?
All right. So, who is Mia?
So Mia is who I am for holistic healing and wellness for the community. It's kind of like my alter ego that I've made for myself when I go online. It's made me feel more comfortable. So I have like a little filter. My filter name is Storm, but more or less I go by Mia. And it's an easy way for people to be able to resonate with themselves. In the future, I have some business concepts that twist with my name because Mia in Spanish means me and mine. And so for me, health and healing is something that starts with you, with myself. And with Queen Talk LA and with me introducing myself to others as Mia, it's hopefully a way to inspire somebody to say, okay, I can do those things for myself too. So I always start off, or if you come into on my platform on Instagram, or if you listen to my podcast on Apple Music, I always remind you guys that I'm here educating. I'm not coming from a position of superior or knowing everything, because I'm still learning every day. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's who Mia is.
Nice. Okay. So what schools did you attend?
So I'm local. I went to Bishop Montgomery, and then I went to Santa Monica College. Shout out to SMC. And then I went to Cal State San Bernardino, and I double majored there in nutrition and entrepreneurship.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna get into my favorite part. I like to talk about how we met.
Okay.
I
know we've known each other for a while now.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start. So I remember coming into Simply Wholesome every day. First of all, I didn't know that it was Black owned for a while.
Yeah.
My goddad brought me there when I was in high school. I went to Sarah.
Okay.
That's why I said when you said Bishop.
Oh, okay, Sarah. Yeah, we be running it up on the track. Yes, come on with it.
So
come on with it. All right.
So he took me there one time, and he was talking about the shakes, because it was Jamba Juice, and then he was like, but these are better. I didn't know why he said that.
Yeah.
But now I understand, like, the love, the blackness, the space, or
The
whatever.
space for us.
Right. So years later, I came back there and I started working at DCFS. But when I started working there, I'm like, oh my God, this place is depleting me. I need something every day to kind of help me get through the day.
Yeah.
So I started coming into Simply Wholesome. I started picking up that Kickback coffee, you know what I'm saying? Getting that juice, that April's Life in a bottle.
Right.
Getting me some fresh water from Breath of Fresh Air.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like every day I would literally do that because I knew and I felt like it made me feel better. And then you and I started talking because you were ringing me out, and then you started giving me like just different herbs and stuff like that, and just sharing all this information with me. And I was just like, okay, let me, let me start implementing it. And it was really helping. So that's how I remember meeting you. And then we just started chopping it up about different ideas. Then you had me do the video that one time talking about the landmark and being over here on Slauson. And I was like, oh, that was pretty dope,
Yes.
So it was pretty cool. Like, and I just love the space because the love, the blackness, the everything, it's just, it's crazy.
It is. It's a really special space, I think. I think for us as LA natives and those who grew up in LA, we don't really realize it until we go away and then we come back.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd realized what a blessing it was to be able to grow up in that space.
Yeah.
And for us, like, our relationship was really cool because, I've been working there for about 10 years plus now.
Yeah.
And I always try to make it a point when I see people, if I start to see them on a more consistent basis, to say hello.
Yeah.
Like, to greet each other. I think that's something that we as a community are still working on. And so when I started seeing you and I started seeing that you were buying the Breath of Fresh Air water, I'm like, you know what? And I used to remember thinking, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to see Jessica. And you used to be the first within the first 5 customers. And I promise you, it was like meditation. We started a relationship, a friendship, and through just commonality, loving ourselves and loving health. And and then it grew into what it is today.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, so I always enjoy seeing you.
Yeah.
Always like, what's up? I've met your
Right.
grandmother. I've met your family.
My sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves that place now too. So yes, it's been a great journey. Especially like meeting April. Like that's like my heart too. Like, she's been so great, and just meeting you guys and just the positivity, I feel like it gave me that push to like believe in myself, because I didn't see what you guys saw, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you guys spoke so much life into me that it was kind of like, okay, well, somebody sees something, so let me figure it out. You know what I mean? So
You've always been destined for greatness. Since I've seen you, you've always been a light, and it's been a pleasure to see you unfolding. And so that's why when you asked me to come on, I couldn't say no. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, because I've been hesitant. Sometimes people ask just because it's all about timing, and it's all about the relationship. Because when you decide to come on to a radio or a TV show, you're on air 100%, and sometimes people might not be ready to digest the things that you have to say, but I always felt resonance in our relationship, so it's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, you guys, so we're gonna take our first break. We'll be right back with Mia, so y'all stay tuned. You are tuned in to Touch the World Radio Show, the Out of the Box Podcast Edition. We are joined in studio with our special guest, Mia of Queen Talk LA. So Mia, let's discuss your passion for holistic health and where that stemmed from.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
So you're basically how it started.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've grown up in the Simply community. And so I grew up going to Simply Wholesome, eating the patties and their shakes. I never walked over to the store side because I didn't have a reason.
Yeah.
So my journey with health and wellness started when I was in college. My second year at Santa Monica, I blew my knee out. I tore my ACL, my MCL, and both sides of my meniscus. And at this time in my life, I was about to get recruited to transfer, and I wanted to go to New York because I was tired of LA. Because I was, like I said, I grew up in LA, so I was like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I ended up blowing my knee out. And within the first 3 days, the first day, I remember it was like on a Friday or Saturday or something like that. It was like I think it was on a Saturday. So the doctor, I had to wait until Monday, right? And so they ended up prescribing me oxycodone and hydroprofen. And I remember something like the bottle said something like you take 2 or 3 every 2 or 3 hours. And because I was in so much pain, and because my family didn't really know how to respond in a situation like that, because I couldn't move. And you've seen my sister. She's short. She's shorter. I love her, but she's shorter than me, right? So she was no help. Like most of my family is shorter than me. Okay. So they were no help. And I'm completely laid out. I can't move. I have a brace from my hip all the way down because I haven't gotten an x-ray yet. So we don't know exactly what's wrong. It's just, there's pressure, right? So I remember waking up. My grandma had come over at the time because my dad was overwhelmed, and she was like my full-time nurse. She woke me up every 3 hours, and they gave me those pills, right? And I was great because I didn't feel nothing. I was on cloud 9. I was high out of my mind. Okay, right? Because the pain was just so high. It was the only thing that could knock it off. And so I remember I went to the doctor on Monday. And now I've been taking, do the math, however many. I think there was only 100. But by the time I went to the doctor, there was less than 20. Within like 3 days, right? Monday or Tuesday, whenever my appointment was. But it was early in the week. And so after they did my general exam, she's like, yeah, like for sure your ACL's torn. So we're still going to do an x-ray, find out about the rest. But for sure this is happening. She was telling me everything else I need to do, like ice. And I said, okay, cool. So I need a refill. She's like, why? I'm like, because I only have this. And I remember probably like communicating like a crack addict. Like I only have 16. So I have these many hours and then I need more. Yeah. Right. And she looked at me because I was under 21. She's like, you're taking too many. And I'm like, well, on the bottle, it says to take every 3 to 5 hours. And she's like, as needed. I'm like, well, it's needed. I don't know. Shoot. Like, my family doesn't know. My grandma's reading this. And literally, I woke up every 3 hours. And it was too much. Yeah. So I had to go through this withdrawal process. And, those medications are very addictive. And so I went through that withdrawal process, and the reason why I decided to do that first warning wasn't it. It was when maybe like a week or so later, I'm trying to like wean off of how many I was taking. And I remember sitting in my room and I was looking at some photos. And I remember saying, I don't know who this is. And I don't remember where this is. And I remember it was like a graduation photo. And it was a photo with me when I had just turned 21. I went to San Francisco with my sister. And then there was like another photo. And I couldn't tell you at that time who those people were. But they were my family. And I remember sitting there and being like, oh no, this is a problem. I'm so far gone. I'm sitting in my room looking at something on my wall, and I have no idea what this is.
Right.
And it really scared me. And that's what made me start taking steps back. And then I had to find, because the pain was so high, what a natural alternative was. And I found out that it was at Simply, where I was working.
Yeah.
But never walked on that side.
Yeah.
You know? April and Purcell were great, you know, and they helped bring things home, but bring things to my space, you know, for me to consider or like wean off of. And that's how my relationship really started. And that's why I always say it's about communicating my experience so that you can share maybe your experience and we can come to a collective.
Right.
I never say off the top, like, chlorophyll is amazing, you need to take it because it's great for your skin and it's good for digestion. Yeah, I mean, like, you can read all these things, but I have so many other people that I've recommended it to, and then they come back and say, Mia, it works so well for this.
Yeah.
Mia, it works so, I feel like I have so much more energy, or my skin is so much better, or I can tell the difference when I'm not taking it. So I feel comfortable at this space sharing with others, hey, like, you should consider taking it. Like, whenever you remember.
Yeah.
Like, not just once a day or twice a day. We live in a toxic world. We're depleting minerals every single second, you know? So I think that's how my relationship started. And, you know, 7 years after my first injury, I ended up, like I said, finding out I tore my ACL, my MCL, and both sides of my meniscus. I had surgery. And I was so scared because of the pain that I was in that first time, because it shattered my whole world, that I didn't go back to playing competitively. And then 7 years later, I decided to get over that mental fear, that mental barrier that I made in my mind that told me that I can't do it. I can't do certain things anymore because I need to be fragile with myself. And I tore my ACL again. And I found out that when I went to go play, that my first surgery was unsuccessful.
Okay.
And this one makes it really interesting because now I've been in this health and wellness world for like 7 years. And I've been reading about all these different health and wellness things. And now here I have another opportunity to apply myself, my own life to this. I mean, I remember I was at the gym and I went to go play. I remember, should I go to a yoga class or should I go play volleyball indoors? I'm like, nah, let's defeat this mental thing that's happening in my mind that's telling me I can't do it. Because if I keep saying that, giving that power, then other aspects of my life are going to believe I can't do it. So I walked in and I did it. And as soon as I came up, I came down. I promise you, Jessica, I was like, my knee, like, it swole up. I was like, oh Lord, please, like, let's just pretend this is a dream.
Yeah.
I remember I called my sister who could barely help, because she's shorter than me, and she helped me hop away. I found myself back in my bed, and it was the same thing again. But this time, I didn't take any meds, even though I was prescribed the meds. And I filled my first one just to have it, and I still have that bottle just so that I can remember, like, the accessibility of it, like how much they were just pushing it, you know? But what I knew was best for me.
Yeah.
You know, so, and the second time around, I healed a lot quicker. My flexibility was a lot better. And I contribute that to the herbs. Before I had surgery, I took different supplements like soursop and blood purifiers to move that toxicity out and that inflammation. And then after, the same thing. So it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. First of all, there's some details that I thought your connection with Simply Wholesome was way different than what it was. You know, because you said you met Purcell and you met April. I thought you were Purcell's daughter.
I am.
You are?
I am.
Ah, okay. So I'm not off. Okay.
You're not tripping.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
You're not tripping. I just sometimes don't straight out say it.
Okay, because I'm like, all right, well, I was wrong.
No, you're right. Yeah, you know, I'm still in that space where I'm trying to, because, you know, it comes with its own weight, you know, and I feel like right now, I'm still finding who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring out how I can best contribute regardless of how I was plugged into the community,
Right.
And I think that it's not just for others, but for myself, like proving to myself that I'm worth more than just whatever slot others think that I should play.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about it, what is Queen Talk LA then? Because that's your baby, right?
Yes. Queen Talk LA is my baby. So Queen Talk LA is basically like my shadow voice. It's like sharing aspects of Simply that other people don't get to see. I feel like I have a really cool relationship with people within the community. And because I started working in the store when I was on bed rest, I was, or not bed rest, but I was kind of like on bed rest, but I couldn't work. I couldn't stand like how, the paces at Simply. So they allowed me to work in the store, and I spent a lot of my time reading and talking to a lot of the older customers about what they were going through. And the community taught me. It wasn't just one person who taught me. I mean, I've had a couple like Frank, and I've had Tabidi and Dr. Richardson. I have a couple like nutritionists and doctors who are over me who I've always been able to reach out to. And Dr. Gaz, rest his soul. But the community really taught me, and so because of that, when I leave, sometimes I feel like people will be like, I'm not going to buy anything until you get there, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, even though I appreciate that, I want you to be able to know that it's you who has the capability to tap into the information too. And so once I started getting feedback like that, I realized I needed to do something that was tangible for other people. And that's where Queen Talk LA started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, you guys. So we're going to take another break. We'll be right back with Mia. So y'all stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Put a smile on my face. Baby, you know just what I want. Tell me that all of your good energy will be here before I know. You shoot the love through my veins, and I let you when I'm with you. Nothing can go wrong if you're in control. Now, right now, you're saving me and making me crazy. At the same damn time, on a drug I know nothing about. Till now, right now, you're saving me and making me crazy. At the same damn time, I'm hooked and I don't want out. Wanna take a trip and float away, 'cause I don't really care about a thing, as long as you're here with me. I admit I am addicted to what you do to me, and I let you in. It's what you do to me, and I let you in. Just give it to me now. Put a smile on my face. Gotta give me just what I want.
You are tuned in to Touch the World radio show. In case you're just joining us, we are in studio with our special guest, Mia of Queen Talk LA. So Mia, can you tell us when you began your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, my father always says that entrepreneurs are not made, they're born. So I'd like to say that I since I was young, I've always kind of hustled, and I've always found different ways to create value in things that I'm doing. But I would say like more full force within the last, like, when I graduated from college, when I graduated from high school in 2010, backing myself, 11 years ago. I think that's when I really started. Probably about 10 years ago. Gave myself about a year to figure it out. Okay. Right now, I do a couple different things. I make all this Simply apparel. So I've been doing that now for about 10 years. Okay. And I do a lot of different things that vary. I like to put my energy into things, and so I don't do things where I feel drained. So for a while I was doing the crystals at Simply, and but because of COVID now, we're not doing that for people's safety. Okay. And then I do the body oils now. The I Am Worthy, the I Am Enough, the affirmation-based oils, and their infusions with rose and lavender and different kinds of ancient smells, myrrh and frankincense, because I think that we need that right now. I started that because the mask thing was so much for me, having to wear the mask every day, and I would always have different infusions on, and then people would be like, you smell really nice. So I decided to start doing that. So I've been doing that now for about 2 or 3 months. And it really is about bringing things to the community. I'll bring, eucalyptus. I try to connect with different small Black and brown owned businesses, and I give them an opportunity, because sometimes it's hard to get your foot right in the door. Yeah. But people don't realize, and I'm not saying this like as people just come and bring me a whole bunch of samples and stuff, like, not necessarily, but when someone resonates with me, when I meet you and you're not barking at me, because sometimes people like fall into this communication skills when you're talking like in hospitality, and so I'm accustomed, since I've been working for so long, dealing with different kinds of people. And when someone is really genuine, it's easy to see, So I find myself giving an extra boost to those small businesses that I think really deserve it. And and again, it's still just figuring it out.
Right. Okay. Can you tell us like maybe 1 or 2 testimonials since you've been building your community, from like just the advice you've been giving out and things like that?
Sure. I'll give a personal one, then I'll share like a general one. So a personal one is my grandfather, the Don. He passed away a couple months ago, and when he first came to us, he was deteriorating, and he lost himself because he was living at home, and because I would regularly check on him. For about a week, he wasn't answering his phone. So about like by the 3rd day or something like that, my family went to go check up on him, and he had locked himself in the house, and he had lost a whole bunch of weight because he wasn't eating, because he forgot to eat. So he ended up having to be hospitalized and then come and live with us, right? And when he started staying with us, he was really confused, right? Because he does not like living in the city. He didn't like, living in the city. He was more of like a country boy. So we had to find ways to create balance in his mind. And I used different herbs like ashwagandha, the soursop sea moss, the mango sea moss, different kinds of infusions. We changed his diet. He started eating at Simply like on a regular basis, and it changed how drastically within like 2 or 3 weeks how he was communicating, how he felt, how he was engaging. A lot of people can see that on our Instagram now. in the Dawn Stories. I did like different videos with him where we tried a whole bunch of different kinds of things, chlorophyll, sea moss, and he was like my best friend, my coworker, co-host, excuse me. So yeah, a lot of that I think testimonies could be seen visually for yourself through those videos. Another one would be with a friend who recently practiced self-quarantining because they had to. And they reached out to me and they were like, hey, I need to go self-quarantine. Like, what do you recommend, right? And I made this little package for them. They came into the store. They got like some soursop sea moss. They got some black sea oil. I gave them some spice of life. They had some CNS. They had some bladderwrack, burdock root. They like just a little mix of stuff. And they self-quarantined for about 3-4 days and they were good.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very interesting for me because I feel like when people ask me for things, it's a spiritual engagement. Because a lot of times, I tell you, Jessica, a lot of times, I don't remember. Unless I see you on a regular basis and I really get to know your name. Like, I do not remember. And it's not because I don't care. It's just I see so many faces and people are asking me so many questions.
Right.
And it's amazing to me. It sometimes gives me chills, like when people come back up to me and they're like, oh my God, Mia, like what you told me worked so well. And sometimes I'm like, what did you get? Because I'm like
Well, what did I tell you?
What did I tell you? Because it's just so fluid. It's not like I'm writing it down. Like on my free time, I have like a whole bunch of books, and I like to read. And so I just go off of the things where I'm like, my mind is telling me this. And so I know. And sometimes even when I'm talking to somebody and they'll ask me and I'm like, well, is this right? I'll go back and I'll look at it and I'll be like, this is why I said that because of these two things,
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a really spiritual thing. And that's why like I'm setting myself up to start doing health and wellness consultations.
Nice.
I just want to be in the right space to do that. Because at first I was really shying away from it because I felt like not worthy or just too young. I used to get that a lot. You're too young. Like the older people, when they'd be like, oh, well, I want to talk to the herbalist. I'm like, I can help you. They're like, you don't know anything, baby. Where's Tabiti at? Where's Frank at?
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I've been sitting here for the past year reading books. Like, I know what you're gonna, but because of that age, I had to respect that, right? And then those customers who used to respond that way are my best friends now, because they'll be like, we would learn together, or I would be like, well, I would say this and this, and then we would go and actually read it together, be like, okay, well, I'll try that. Okay. And then they'll come back and say, it really worked, So, like I said, I think that when you decide to vocalize that you're a healer or someone in that healing space, it's more than just the facade of it. Like I really look back at what my family has done, and I feel like it was destined for me to play a role in inspiring other people to believe in themselves and believe that they can heal themselves. Because as Indigenous people, that's what we did, and that's what we do. Period. Because we're still here. Right. We just have to remember that we have that light in us. So I hope that, I'm able to spark light, interest, invoke some kind of awakening in another. It might not be the first time. Maybe it's the 50th time I've seen you, but or it might not even be me. It might be me talking to you and you talking to your friend who's able to break through. That's, we have to uplift each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's important because what you said was like knowing that the age difference was a thing. You still, move forward with grace. And so it kind of bridged the gap. For that, age gap.
Yeah, because at first I would be upset, but then it's like, why they've been coming here for so long and I'm a new face to them, like how customers who are regular see me and then they see someone new, they're like, nah, where's Mia at? I don't know you, and so I can understand that. But I had to be patient enough to be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm good too.
Right.
And so when you're ready, we can talk.
Right.
And if you're not ready, here's some books that I've been reading, and you can look it up if you don't want me to read it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of them would just be like, you can read it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And once they were like, okay, it was all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. So, what is your mission behind Queen Talk LA?
My mission behind Queen Talk LA is to keep people inspired to shop small and to recycle their dollars within the community.
Yes.
My goal is to showcase different Black and brown owned businesses that I support every single day. And also to share different health and wellness tips along the way, you know, because I want to be able to move into a space where I can do this on a larger scale.
Yeah.
I feel like Queen Talk LA is going to work itself out to be like a nonprofit kind of situation where people can go to that space for knowledge and know that it's not knowledge that's being sold to you.
Yeah.
You know, because there's knowledge and there's knowledge that is being sold to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, and so sometimes like people will hit me up, be like, oh, and this, and it's like, you gotta wait until it's in alignment. Like
Right.
maybe because I've been reading, they say like you need to hear a message like 10, 15 times nowadays because of how much technology we've been exposed to. And it might not be the right time.
Right.
And I'm just not that person who's going to be like, I'm just going to pump it out just because.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My energy has to be in alignment with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense even with the way this happened, the way this show formed.
Yeah.
You know, because I talked about this maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I was like, I want to interview you, blah, blah, blah. But I had no idea what the place was going to be or anything. I just knew I had questions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So with that being the experience, it's like, okay. And then I finally got the platform. And it just so happened to be on the anniversary
I know.
show.
That makes me feel so
You know?
special.
So it's so dope.
Yes,
you know?
it
Everything
is.
works out because this comes full circle for me because this is a pivotal point in my life.
Yes.
You know, so it's super dope.
Yes. I'm blessed to be here and like raise up the space with you.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we talked about your oils.
Yeah.
The what do you call them? The affirmation base?
the affirmation oils. So they're all limited edition. They're on Simply Wholesome's website as well as in stores right now.
Nice.
So I've been appreciating the love I've been getting from my Queen Talk LA family. They've been showing up, you know. So we have different smells like I am worthy, I am enough, I am relaxed. These are just affirmations to remind you to find center.
Yeah.
And plus they're all natural oils. So I have really sensitive skin and they're infused with sunflower oil. So it actually has healing properties versus chemical based. No
Nice.
alcohol or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
This
I
one's
have
for
the.
you.
Thank you.
Of
I
course.
already have the I am enough, and I'm already addicted to it. Like I was on the way up here, and I was just sitting there like.
Yes,
trying
I gotta
calm
tell
myself.
people be careful because you know people might start dropping rings, they might start proposing, panties might start flying. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
You never
but
know.
It smells so good, and it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything.
I raise them up with crystals, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah, so they sit with crystals, and then
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for a
super
minute.
dope.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any other products in the works right now?
In the works right now, I have some new Simply apparel. It comes out every month,
Okay.
the first Friday of the month. I'm going to be restocking the oils next week because they've been moving pretty well, which is a blessing. And besides that, no, I've just been, providing the community with the fresh eucalyptus and the money trees, just because I like to bring in that kind of energy to a home space.
Yeah.
And continuing to evolve. So I'm listening. You know, my most important thing on my plate right now is getting everything in alignment so I can start doing health and wellness coaching because I really want to do that. I've been doing it like on the low for selective clients, but I want to be able to do it not at a mass scale because I'm only one person, but I want to be able to do it to where it's official.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
So those are my goals for this year for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the most important lesson you've learned on this journey?
The most important lesson I've learned on this journey is remembering to practice the pause. And I say that because sometimes I'm an air sign. I like to hear information and fly off, right? And I need to remind myself to practice that pause, to breathe, to find my center, to acknowledge, is this really what I want to do, or how I want to be seen, or how I want to be perceived? You know, and a lot of times I've had experiences and I remind myself to come back to that. Like, I'll find myself off balance and I'll be like, yeah, because you weren't practicing that pause. You know, you weren't thinking before you moved. You just moved. And now you're like, damn, why did I do that when I knew better? So I think that's something that I would say.
Okay, so last question. What platforms can listeners find you on?
Yeah, so listeners can find me on Instagram. I have my own personal page. It's Queen Talk LA, QuenTalkLA. I also do lives weekly on Simply's page. And then you can find me on Apple Music under Queen Talk LA. And soon I'll be coming to YouTube. By the end of the month, I tell myself, because that's one thing I've been like, you know, but I'm ready for that now.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So we're gonna wrap up the show this evening. Thank you all for tuning in with our in-studio guest Mia of Queen Talk LA.
Thank you.
We hope you guys enjoyed the show, but before we head out, please make sure you check out my website at jgotso.com. We have so much valuable content for you to check out. We also have merchandise for you to purchase, which serves as a reminder that Black money matters, so act like it. Be sure to get caught up on episodes 1 through 13 of the podcast. Head over to my YouTube page and subscribe to the handle jgotso. All right, you guys, until next time, I'll be back in studio on September 5th. You never know who we're going to have in studio next. So y'all be sure to tune in, and y'all have a great evening. We are out.
Can I show you love? Can I show you love? Can I show you love? Can I show you love?